Okay, so we've all had to write one of those compare and contrast essays, right? But what if it's not just a school assignment? What if it's one of the most powerful tools we have for, just thinking? Turns out, it's not about making boring lists. It's about unlocking a much deeper way of seeing the world.
You've heard it a million times. You can't compare apples and oranges. People say it to shut down a conversation. But here's the secret. Comparing things that seem totally different, that's actually where the real magic happens. So, can you compare apples and oranges? Oh, absolutely. And we're going to find out just how.
Now, this is where it gets kind of wild, and it's a little counterintuitive. If you really want to show a strong contrast, you don't pick two wildly different things. No, you pick two very similar things. Say a Honeycrisp apple versus a Granny Smith. That's when the small, subtle differences really pop. And for a great comparison, you do the opposite. You find the surprising, unexpected similarities between apples and oranges.
So what's the point of all this? It's not just to state the obvious. The whole goal is to create that aha moment. It's about revealing a connection no one saw before, or a distinction that suddenly makes everything clear. It's about giving your audience a genuinely useful, new perspective.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into the art of it. Then we'll talk about building your foundation, structuring your argument, and we'll wrap it all up with a really cool heroic example.
All right, first up, let's dive into the art of comparison. And I want you to forget about just making a simple list of pros and cons. This is about a total shift in how you think. It's about analyzing the relationship between two things, not just their features.
Okay, so we get the why. Now let's get into the how. This part's all about building a rock-solid foundation for your analysis. And right at the heart of that foundation is your thesis statement. Think of it this way. Your thesis is the engine that's going to drive this whole thing.
So what makes a great thesis? Well, it's got to do three key things. First, obviously, it has to name the two things you're looking at. Second, it has to answer the question, so what? Why are we even putting these two things together? And third, and this is crucial, it has to make a real argument, a claim that actually teaches us something new.
Check this one out. It's a perfect example. It nails all 3 points. Subjects, organic versus conventional veggies. The so what? It's about cost versus value. And the argument, that organic is worth every extra penny. See? It's clear, it's debatable, and it sets you up for a fantastic analysis.
Next up, structure. So, you've got your engine roaring with a great thesis. Now you need a blueprint. You need a plan for how you're going to build your argument piece by piece so it's strong and easy for your reader to follow.
And here's the cool part. You've really only got 2 main blueprints to pick from. Each one works great, it just depends on what you want to emphasize in your argument.
Okay, so here are your 2 options. With the first one, organized by subject, it's like you're giving a full tour of organic veggies first. You talk about chemicals, nutrition, taste, the whole deal. Then you switch gears and give the full tour of conventional veggies. The other way, organized by point, is different. You talk about chemicals for both, then nutrition for both, then taste for both. It's more of a point-by-point showdown. Both get you there, just different journeys.
Now, whichever blueprint you choose, you have to be a good guide for your reader. And these signal words, these are your best friends. Think of them like GPS for your argument. They tell your reader, hey, we're about to look at a similarity, or whoa, sharp turn ahead, we're looking at a difference now.
And you can see it in action right here. That one little word at the beginning, while, does so much work. It immediately signals a contrast. It says, okay, let's acknowledge this one similarity, the backstory, but hold on, because the real story is in how different his character has become. It's just so smooth and effective.
And speaking of Batman, that brings us perfectly to our grand finale, a heroic example that ties all of this together, Batman Through the Ages.
We're going to dive into this awesome student essay that does exactly what we've been talking about. It contrasts 2 totally different versions of Batman to make a really insightful point about what we want from our heroes. I mean, just look at this. It's a total night and day difference. On one side, you've got this sunny, kind of goofy Batman from the Silver Age fighting aliens and bat mice. Yeah, that was a thing. And on the other, the dark, gritty, psychologically scarred hero we know today. This isn't just a costume change, it tells us so much about how we've changed. And it's not just Batman. Look at his world. Back then, it was villain of the week, and everything reset by the next issue. But now there are real, lasting consequences. Robin doesn't stay a kid forever. He grows up and becomes Nightwing. Terrible things happen, like Batgirl being paralyzed. Even the villains get more complex. The stakes are just so much higher.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? The essay's conclusion is brilliant. Batman has survived for so long because he can change. The character is a canvas that we repaint over and over to reflect who we are and what we need our heroes to be. The contrast wasn't just a list, it revealed the secret to his incredible longevity.
All right, so let's recap. Here's your path to an amazing essay. 1. Pick 2 things that have a meaningful reason to be together. 2. Write a killer thesis that actually makes an argument. 3. Choose your blueprint by subject or by point. And 4. Use those signal words to lead your reader. You've totally got this.
So, my question for you is, what's next? You now have this incredible tool in your mental toolkit. So look around. What 2 things in your world, your job, your hobbies, your favorite TV shows, could you put side by side to discover something brand new? The possibilities, as you can see, are pretty much endless.